The summit in one word is crowded, and that's a good thing.
We are live at the biggest business event in the history of Israel. This is the 2020 OurCrowd Global Investor Summit. We have entrepreneurs and startups. We have regulators, accelerators, incubators, and innovators. Welcome to the 2020 OurCrowd Global Investor Summit.
I'm Matthew Kalman. It's hard to believe that that was just February, and in the few weeks that have passed, everything has changed because of the coronavirus pandemic. Back then, we welcomed thousands of people to the OurCrowd Global Summit here in Jerusalem. We heard about the latest advances in high tech. So how much of what we heard then is still relevant now, or has the world changed completely? We thought we would catch up with some of the newsmakers that we met that day. One of them was Jason Greenblatt, who was President Trump's special Middle East advisor. He spoke to us about his vision for a new Middle East.
In March 2017, when I made my first official visit as a senior White House official to Israel, I met with Prime Minister Netanyahu. Right around that time, Intel announced it would acquire Mobileye for $15.3 billion, the largest ever acquisition of an Israeli tech company. The Prime Minister was justifiably proud of Mobileye's achievement. Later that day, I went to Ramallah and met with young Palestinian tech entrepreneurs. One of them said something to me that I will never forget. Jason, help us Palestinians learn to build and sell our own Mobileye's. That request stayed with me each and every day of my nearly 3 years at the White House, as I worked on peace between Israel and the Palestinians, and Israel and its Arab neighbors. How can Israel be a light for the entire region and allow the spread of this type of thinking? The type of thinking that allows us to tackle impossible problems and solve them. I hope to continue building relationships between Israel and its neighbors in the region, to work on what once seemed impossible, building together an economic bridge of peace. Israel and its neighbors working together on investments, innovation, and technology can together provide a potent new energy to the entire region. Let us create a Middle East 2.0, whose might and energy can power the region and perhaps the world to a much brighter future. I'm committed to working with all who want to join together to build this new future. It's going to be an exciting and challenging journey, and I need all of your help. But political and diplomatic work takes a lot of time and is fraught with many stumbling blocks. I should know. While they do their critical work, let's make the impossible possible. Let's improve lives. Let's help people throughout this region thrive. Let's connect this region to unlock its incredible potential. Each country of this region can be part of this movement. Each society. Let's help change this region and build a new future together today. Thank you so very much.
Well, since then, Jason Greenblatt has actually become a partner in OurCrowd with a special brief to establish ties between OurCrowd and investors and companies throughout the Middle East. Our friend Hillel Fuld, one of Israel's leading tech bloggers, caught up with him.
You made this really interesting transition from obviously the pinnacle of the world of politics into really the pinnacle of the world of technology. Talk to me about that transition, that decision.
Throughout my time in the Middle East, whether it was in Saudi, in the Emirates, or elsewhere, including Qatar, I saw there was a deep interest in technology. They all understood that oil was not going to sustain them. And over the course of my 2.5 or nearly 3 years at the White House, those were the kind of Palestinians who I met. Dreamers, hopers, optimists. I met plenty of others too, but people who saw their future in tech primarily and felt that they were, because of bad leadership decisions on their leadership side, being left behind. So when I spoke at the OurCrowd conference back in February, I described what I view as building a Middle East 2.0. And I think Israel could be essential to that, and I think everybody could benefit from it.
Okay, fantastic. So talk to me about this new role.
What they showcase is essentially what Israel is famous for, being a startup nation. They have found that technology speaks to the world. They have found that it is a great message for Israel throughout the rest of the world to show the smarts that Israel has, the talent that Israel has, the ability for Israel technology to help everybody in the world. They are also using today's issues as a way to springboard forward. So for example, we all understand that coronavirus is here for quite some time. I mean, we hope that a vaccine will be created and put this one to bed. And in fact, OurCrowd is an investor in a company that is actively working on an exciting vaccine, and I hope it works out, and it may work out sooner than people hope. We'll have 35 million job losses, so I'm not making light of the catastrophe and the devastation to the economy around the world. But what John has done is create a group of companies, and I think he's still looking for more, that will allow countries to have the tools to move forward for the next crisis. And that is also very, very exciting. It remains to be seen whether we could deploy Israeli technology throughout the Gulf. I believe that we can. I believe it's not going to happen overnight. I believe some countries will embrace it sooner than others. But if we don't try now at this historical time where the ties between Israel and the Gulf and the rest of the Arab world have moved to such a degree that surprised even me from when I started 3 years ago, then we will have missed a tremendous historic opportunity.
I love that. I don't think anyone really, as far as I've heard, addressed that specific point, which is Israel's technology and its impact on the region versus the US and Europe, but specifically the region. And that's fascinating to me. And I guess that's perfect in terms of just the synergy that you bring to the table. Obviously, with your expertise, that's incredible. I would love to hear your thoughts on venture, the world of venture, or technology and innovation, and COVID's impact, both now and in the future. You know, how deep is it? Obviously, OurCrowd's still writing checks. Obviously, OurCrowd's seen some incredible successes. What are your thoughts now as a venture capitalist, about Corona, COVID, and its impact on the economy and our society as a whole?
I'd sum it up in 2 words: patience and optimism. I would say that until 3 weeks ago, I was on Zoom calls, Skype in some cases, every single day, all day. And the conversations were all doom and gloom. I mean, people don't know what is going to be at the end of the tunnel. Everybody is smart enough to understand that, we don't know what changes are going to come about. And we understand that if we go out in a certain way, we might have to go backwards several steps and then go forward several steps. But everybody knows that this is going to end, and they are ready to move their companies forward. They're prepared for the setbacks. They're prepared for things to go more slowly. But I can't think of a single business person in the last 3 weeks, either that I'm working with or, to be truthful, my phone is ringing off the hook with people who are excited about the possibilities, are excited about Israeli technology in the region. The region is excited about Israeli and other technology, and everybody thinks that we have passed the turning point and are ready to move forward.
Okay, Yael asks a good question. What areas look like growth areas to you as a venture capitalist? And I'll expand that question. As a consumer, what sectors of technology excite you most?
So distance learning for sure. I have 6 kids, 3 in college. They've all gone online around Purim time. And nobody knows yet if they're going to open their doors in the fall. So distance learning is going to be a big deal. Even if the schools open their doors, they're going to need to be prepared better than they were, because nobody anticipated this. To go right back to distance learning is necessary. Our kids range in age from 9 to 21. Our 21-year-olds obviously need no assistance, nor does our high schooler, but our 9-year-old needed a little bit of help, and the amount of preparation time and everything else. And nobody took into account, it's not only the amount of time that we're working full time, but we have to wipe down the groceries at the door. There were so many additional tasks we never needed before. Medical technology, allowing physicians and other medical providers to be able to diagnose from afar so that people aren't exposed to any illnesses waiting at a doctor's office from an efficiency perspective. And I think OurCrowd has quite a few of these companies. But if we don't have to sit in a waiting room waiting, and the doctor can diagnose using technology, that's a big deal. At the very beginning of the crisis, I was speaking to different countries in the region who could have benefited from doctor expertise in different countries, so that the same way you and I are talking, if a country was short on experienced physicians and can actually diagnose using the internet, using local doctors, but with physicians from different countries, that is a really, really big deal. Security is becoming a bigger and bigger challenge. I wouldn't say I'm excited about the need for cybersecurity techniques, but unfortunately, the reality is that that we will need that. And I guess the last one, and this is a very controversial one, is contact tracing. Contact tracing, I believe, is going to become an essential tool to getting us out of the crisis and keeping us as best as possible out of the crisis. People don't, in our country, there's a significant pushback to contact tracing. And I'm by no means an expert in this, but I guess what I would say is, let's not pretend for a second that technology companies don't already know everything about us. So the contact tracing is going to be as anonymized as it could be, at least in a country like the United States. There's far more information available about me and my family and every citizen in the United States than we would ever imagine. My family and I were in Dubai in January. We were having dinner with a very close friend of ours, and with his kids, and he somehow we got to talking about makeup. And in the elevator on the way out after the dinner, all of my girls got ads on their phone from a large makeup company. They've never gotten those ads before. And I have I'd like to think that this isn't true, but I found it eerie that from our conversation, minutes later, ads were being pushed just to my daughters, who were the ones speaking about makeup. So I know the resistance to contact tracing is strong, but let's also understand that there's so much data out there already. Let's at least put it in the hands of companies who are going to not only help us get through this, keep us safe, and we'll do it in a way that our privacy is as protected as possible.